So guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and I hope you all must have gone through my previous videos, and those videos are helping you to better understand and grab the English grammar. So today we have come up with the next topic, that is determiners. So here we will be talking about determiners, and we will be understanding what exactly the determiners and how they are helping us grammatically to improve us in our learning and understanding of English grammar. So before we start with today's topic, I would again request everyone to please like and subscribe to my channel, and please share with your friends, family, to the kids who are above 6th standard. Definitely this will help them and to groom their skills. So let's define determiners. These are the words which are used to fix, define, or determine the nouns in some way or the other way are called determiners. So from the definition, it is clearly mentioned that these are also the words which will be used to describe, define, or determine the nouns in either of the way, right? So either they will be help us to know the exactly count of the nouns, or they will give us some more definition, or there might be some other ways to define that, right? So they will help us to understand and determine their meanings. So if we go ahead and to better understand determiners, let's find out how many kinds of determiners. So we will be first naming them, then we will be describing them, each one of them one by one. Okay, so in total there are 5 types of determiners. So let's name them first and then we will talk about them. So first one is articles. Okay, so second one is possessive determiners. Third one is demonstrative. Fourth one is numeral. Fifth one is quantitative determiners. So these are the 5 types of determiners which you find in every book, but in some of the books like you find four determiners, or four kind of determiners where articles are separately mentioned, but they also come under determiners. So as we define, determiners are the words which are used to fix, define, or determine the noun in some way or the other way are called determiners. Determiners are of 5 types: articles, possessive determiners, demonstrative determiners, numerals determiners, and quantitative determiners. To shorten this topic, I have divided this particular topic, determiners, into 2 separate sessions. So in the first sessions, we will be talking about articles and the use of a and the in detail. So to watch out for the second session on the basis of the remaining data. We will start with articles. Okay, in some of the book, as I mentioned, they have completely a separate topic which is mentioned on articles only. So we will discuss it under the determiners because they are part of determiners. So if I define articles, they are separated into 2 categories, right? So one is definite and another is indefinite. Okay, sorry for that. One is definite and another is definite. So under the word definite, we also have these defined as articles are categorized into two categories. One is definite and another is indefinite. So when we talk about the definite, we have the determiner and the word which you must have heard, the. Okay, some of them pronounce as the and some of them as the. So this is the definite article. Okay, and what are indefinite articles? They are a or n. So these are the two indefinite articles which are mentioned under the article. So in total we can say the articles are a, n and the. So the use of a and n is very interesting. How we can use a or n, that is also part of writing the correct sentence. Okay, if we are mistakenly use a where we have to use n, that is also a problem or an error in the sentence. So from the general way of understanding a and n, if I go with the meaning of a, that is also numeral 1. Okay, the quantity of anything where a is mentioned, that is also called 1. One thing at that particular time, and if something is mentioned as n in a sentence, then the quantity of that particular thing or a noun is again n. So the thing and the question and the problem comes to the uses. So how to use a or n? So basically the use of a and n is defined on the sounds of the nouns. So what exactly the meaning of sounds of the noun? So in a sentence, wherever we will be using noun, obviously we will be we will be using in front of the nouns. So we have to check what kind of sound is coming from that noun while we are pronouncing it. So at that point of time, on the basis of types of or the kind of sound that particular word is producing, we will be using a or n. So basically from this definition we came to know that the choice, we can say the choice of uses of a or n is dependent upon sorry dependent upon the sounds. Okay, so to more understand it and further discuss it, sounds are of, in English in total sounds are of two types, right? Anyone tell us? So let me tell you, there are two types of sounds. One is based on vowel or and other is based on consonant. So everyone must be aware of the consonant. In English we have total of 26 letters, okay, where we have 5 vowel and 21 consonants, right? So if we go by the uses of a, so what we need to do is, in the case of a, we need to check if the using noun is producing the sound of a consonant, okay, then we can say we will use a in the sentence, or we can say in front of the noun. So what we understood here, Basically the choice of A and N is dependent upon sounds, and in total we have two types of sounds. Okay, so sounds are dependent upon vowel and consonant, and we will use A where the noun is producing the sound of a consonant, right? So if there is a consonant sound, then we will use A, and if there is in the opposite of this, if there is for the N, if there is a sound of vowel, if the noun is producing the sound of a vowel, then we will use N. So if I take an example of the words where we will use A, just check dog. Okay, in dog we are getting a sound of consonant, so we will use a dog. Okay, in the same way, if I say book, then definitely we will use a book. So I hope from these examples you can take more examples and you can understand it. Okay, so these are producing the sound of consonant, and we are using here A. In the same way, if I take more examples of I take an example of N, then there is an ant. Okay, here clearly I got the sound of vowel. I can say an ant. Okay, if I take an example of owl, so we are getting a sound of A, which is a vowel, so we will use owl. And in the same way, if I take more examples, I, so that is again an I, right? So these type of this is how we can recognize where we will be using A and where we will be using N. So to more discuss this topic, sometimes we came across some of the words where we have uses of vowel in this in the word, but they are producing the sound of the consonant. Then we will use A. So if I take an example of those kind of words, so you can see university. Okay, this is starting with a vowel and producing the sound of consonant. Then we will use a university. In the same way, there is a word called European. Okay, this is again producing the sound of a consonant. We will use a European. Okay, and in the same way, we have more words like unit, then obviously a unit. Okay, and in the same way we have some more examples where they are starting with consonant but producing the sound of and vowel, like our, right? This is starting with the word H, which is a consonant but producing the sound of a vowel. So in some of the books you find that if there is a word starting with consonant, then we will use A, and if there is a word starting with vowel, we will use N. So I would suggest please don't go with that way, because in that case you will make mistakes in such words which I mentioned here, right? Just like honest, if you go by that definition, you will make a mistake to put A here, but instead of that A there will be N. So you have to go with the way I explained to you on the basis of sound. So if any word is mentioned in a sentence, and if you are pronouncing it and getting the sound of a vowel, then you would be using N, and if you are pronouncing and getting the sound of a consonant, then you would be using A. So to avoid any confusion, don't go with the false definitions. I don't say the false definition because that scenario is 99% applicable, but in these kind of words where we are getting a sound of vowel, that fails. So please try to go with the way of using A and N on the basis of sound. So now we will understand how to use definite determiner, which is the. Okay, so from the word, it should be in front of some definite words, or we can say some definite or unique nouns. So we can say, if in first case we can say, if the noun is unique, okay, that can't be replaced. Okay, if we have that particular surety defined in the word, that it is unique and it cannot be replaced with some other words or some other person or things or anything, then we can say we will use the. Just like sun. Okay, sun is only one thing which cannot be replaced, so definitely we will use the sun. Okay, or the sun, some people pronounce as the sun. So in the same way, I have more examples like the moon, the earth, okay, the sky. So in the same way you have more words. So the first scenario comes out here is the noun, where the noun are unique, right? They can't be replaced. At that point of time, we will be using the. Okay. So in the same way, if I take more scenarios, and when we have a singular noun which is used to represent the whole class. What I mean by whole class, like if we are talking about animals, and if we are mentioning that cow in a sentence, that the cow are, sorry, if we are mentioning in a sentence that cows are useful animal, so the sentence is correct. However, the sentence is incomplete because here this cow is representing the whole class of the cows, like no matter it's an Indian cow, American, or other types of the cows. So here the word the cows are useful animals. So as I mentioned in the scenario, the second scenario comes out here is when when the when when a singular noun is representing the whole class, right? What I mean by whole class, I explained to you that in the sentence, this cow is talking about the every types of uh, the cows, right? So if I take more examples of such kind, like dogs are faithful animal, right? So here I'm not talking about one breed of the dogs. I'm talking here all types of dog, right? It could be German breed or any other breed, but here I'm talking about the whole breed, whole class of the dogs. So in that type of sentences or that type of singular nouns, sorry, I made it as plural. I'm sorry for that. In that type of singular noun, we will be using the. Okay, so as I mentioned in the scenario second, that a singular noun where it is representing the whole class, we will use the. Okay, so if I go with more categorization of this, then I can categorize as third category, before the adjective to make it as plural. Okay, so if what does it mean? Like, just take an example of a poor. If I'm saying a poor man, I'm talking about one particular person, right? But if I'm using poor in a sentence for the whole community, that this particular community is very poor, so in that sentence I use the same adjective to represent the whole category in a plural way. So that point of time I would be saying the poor. Okay, the rich in the same way. This category, this community is very rich, right? So these soldiers are very brave, right? So that type of adjective where we will be making them as plural. Okay, then we will use the in the sentence. So if I go for next one, sorry for that. So here we understood that before an adjective where we are making it as a plural. So in the same way, there is another example related to the adjective. There are some of the cases where we are using in adjective in a superlative way, or we can say the superlative degree of that word. Okay, like if I'm using that, just like we have a superlative words good, better, best. So if in a sentence I'll be using the superlative which is the best, right? Superlative of good, then I would say the best. Okay, so this is what I mean by using the superlative. Okay, so in the same way, if I have more word like the tallest, right? The superlative again, the strongest, and the most beautiful, right? So these are again the degree of superlative and the adjectives. So in that case also we will use the. So that's the fourth categorization which I made it easier to understand and easier to use in the sentence to avoid the confusion. And the next one is name of the directions. Like we have four directions in total, right? Which what are these? Like if we are using before the name of the direction, I can mention it because I categorize them into these category to avoid the confusion on the uses of the. So it make easier to correct our sentences like the north, the south, the east, the west. So these are the four directions. So whenever we will be using these direction in the sentence, we will be using the. Okay, not a, but not n. Okay, and the sixth one is uh, before the ordinal numbers. What are the ordinal numbers? Anyone have any idea? Just like in mathematics, we say 1, 2, 3, but in English we say first, second, or third, and so on, right? So these type of word where we are referring to the numeral 1, 2, 3. However, we are pronouncing as first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and so on. These words are called ordinal numbers, right? So in front of those numbers, we will be using the first, the second, okay, the third. So this is the sixth categorization I did for the uses of the. Okay, here we did it for the direction base, and this is for on the basis of ordinal number. And the last one, the seventh category which I have made for any musical instrument. Okay, uh, musical instrument, like if I am mentioning harmonium, right? Let's first write it before the uses of any musical instrument name. Instrument name. Okay, then I would be using the in the sentence. For an example, if I am using the word harmonium, so this is the one of the musical instrument, then I would say the harmonium. Okay, similarly, if I'm saying for flute, I would say the flute. So these are the basically 7 categories where I tried to explain in the easiest way so that anyone can remember and does not make any mistake in the uses of A. So in till now we have covered only articles. To summarize this, articles are of 2 types, definite and indefinite. And definite article is the, and indefinite is A or N. On the basis of sound, we will be using A and N, and if it is producing a sound of a vowel, we will be using N, and if it is producing the sound of consonant, then we will be using A, right? To further discuss the uses of the, I have categorized into 7 categories to avoid the confusion, and these categories will help you. If you remember these categories, the category will help you not to make mistake in the sentence. So now we will be discuss about the next type of determinants. In this part of the session 1, under the determiners, I have discussed determiners with its definition and the types. Also, I have explained the first part of the determiner, that is articles, and we have understood the uses of a and the. Also, I have explained to you the uses of a and n, the details. So to further discuss this topic and the remaining parts of the determiners, please watch out for my second part of this video, and please like and subscribe to my channel. Also, I request you to share with your friends. Thank you. See you in our next session.